ashamed because already when someone is taking that report, they're like, what, you know? And so older people or the elderly people are less likely to report. Does it mean that that does not mean that there's no sexual harassment or there's no sexual assault. There are experiencing these things too. We're just not seeing them because they're less likely to report. So that's what, it's very important that we get educated and that we are aware of those behaviors, that those things can be among us, and we have a responsibility to take care of each other. This is not somebody else's problem, it's our problem as a society. So, next slide, please.
Make sure your mics are muted, please. Tell me when you want me to keep.
So,
if you're typing, please stop or mute. Thank you.
So again, this is another site that I took some information from RAIN, the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network. This is just telling us that young people are at risk. People from ages between 12 and 34, they're at higher risk, and they are at higher risk. Why do you think they are at higher risk? Yes, because they're more vulnerable, they have less power. Naive? Yes. I remember myself when I was in the Army a couple decades ago. And I was in my 20s, and now that I'm taking these classes, I reflect back on it, the things that I was experiencing, how naive I was, and I never made a report because I didn't know where to make a report, and I didn't know that was something that I could report. And then my culture too, that takes an effect. I'm Peruvian, I'm from South America, and I grew up to be, you're not a whiner, you're a fighter. So you don't let nothing push you away, you go against it. So all of that takes an effect when people don't make reports, not only because they're naive, but because of how they grew up and the culture that they grew up. If they grew up experiencing violence already, seeing violence and experiencing these behaviors, and they're being sexually harassed at work, do you think they're going to report? No, because it's something normal for them. So in our society, we have normalized a lot of things. If you have you ever heard about the rap music that our kids are listening to? I have 3 girls. So when I hear that music, I'm like, oh my God, what are you listening to? Why are you listening to? Mom, it's the beat. We like the beat. The more you hear about the lyrics on the music, they're describing rapes, they're describing assault, and they're just dancing to it. So, or younger kids, or younger population, and probably even us who grew up around that, normalize that behavior. So when we see it, we really don't see it because it's a normal behavior for everyone. So I just wanted to point out on this that yes, younger people are at risk, but it doesn't mean that older adults are not at risk. They also, there are less risk, but or younger people will be more at risk. If you have younger adults working with you guys, just make sure that you bring that out. This is just statistics from the military, and as I was pointing out before, more female women in the military experience sexual assault. Part of this to reports of sexual assault. Part of this is we get this every year. The 2019 hasn't come out yet. It's probably going to come out in the middle of the year. There's a lot of changes in the military, a lot of improvements, a lot of things that we're doing, and hopefully some of this may not be the same. It's not the same. It also shows that more women who have reported sexual assault also report sexual harassment. So the majority of women, so out of 50%, the majority of that 50% who had reported sexual assault had experienced sexual harassment. So what does it tell us is that sexual assault doesn't just, it's not someone that just came and decided to, today I'm gonna, you know, assault you. It goes in increments. It starts with a negative behavior. So it is important for us, when we see that, do we need to act on it? We don't need to, oh, he was just playing. No, that's not the right thing to say. We need to stop it. We're gonna see a video later on how we can stop those things. Just an example of what we can do to stop it. You know, there's direct, indirect ways to stop it, but you can always intervene. Next slide, please. So can we go to the first video, please?
First video?
So it's time to see the video now.
This one?
The first one,
sorry.
yes, on the first slide.
This one here.
Yes. Thank you for doing this.
Hey, you know, I was not crazy about the new OCPs until I saw them on you.
Thank you, I think. But I'd rather use it intentionally that Sergeant was so.
Oh, how should I touch you?
Not at all.
The sergeant's behavior with Specialist Anderson is clearly sexual harassment. His actions are inappropriate, unwanted, and humiliating. Even worse, he's in a position of authority. She did the right thing by directly confronting him and making it clear she wanted the behavior to stop. But if she didn't feel comfortable doing that, what should you have done?
Well, Sergeant Major, I saw it, but I'm not a soldier. What was I gonna do?
Say something. Let him know that you're uncomfortable with the way he's treating the specialist. There's no bystanders in the Army.
I wanted to, Sergeant Major, but I'm just an E4, and he outranks me, Sergeant Major.
It's not about rank, Specialist. It's about what's right. Sergeant Russo was betraying a trust between a member of your unit. He was endangering unit cohesion and mission readiness by his actions. Sexual harassment will not be tolerated in this Army. For instance, you can use distraction to nip the behavior in the bud.
Hey, I was not crazy about the new OCPs until I saw them on you.
Thank you, I think, but I'd rather do it intentionally that Sergeant was so.
How should I touch you?
Excuse me, Sergeant. Hey, Specialist Anderson, I could really use your help with the monthly report.
Absolutely. Sergeant?
Sorry.
Or you can take the direct approach and confront the offender yourself.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about the new OCPs until I saw them on you.
Thank you, I think, but I'd rather do it intentionally that Sergeant was so.
Excuse me, Sergeant. I'm really uncomfortable with your behavior. You may not realize it, but what you're doing is sexual harassment.
Those are a couple of ways that you can stand up for your colleague. You can also bring the issue to your chain of command. Whatever you do, take action. Doing nothing can only escalate the problem over time. Just like this.
Good evening, Specialist.
Sergeant?
Do you have any Italian in you?
No.
Would you like some?
No. You should go home and sleep it off.
Wait. How about you and I go home and sleep it off together?
Hey, Anderson. We're grabbing a cab back to the barracks?
doesn't mean you're not on duty. It doesn't make you any less of a unit, and the specialist is no less your battle. These soldiers intervened by working together to distract the sergeant before the situation escalated. And when alcohol is added to the mix, it often does. This is what they stopped from happening tonight.
Get away from me. Wait.
That could be the consequence of inaction. And with that sexual assault comes the destruction of trust, unit cohesion, and mission readiness. Bystander intervention is key to preventing sexual harassment or sexual assault. Whether you intervene directly or create a distraction, the goal is to separate the potential victim from the aggressor. You may also wish to report the incident to your chain of command. Intervene, take action, and motivate others to do the same. Because in this army, there are no bystanders.
So everybody's seeing, this is an example from the Army. Can you guys apply it to your group? I mean, a lot of you guys are not in the Army. Do you feel like this will be applicable to you guys?
Sure, I mean, the only thing that made it Army was the fact that they were wearing uniforms, but it could be any workplace situation that was described there.
Thank you, sir. So what, everybody hear that? Yes. So the only difference is that they were wearing uniforms. This can happen anywhere. There's a few things that we've seen in this video, and I don't think I even have to go through the slides because we've seen it all in that video. So it describes what sexual harassment is, correct?
Yes.
Can somebody tell me, give me some things that you saw in the video that are sexual harassment? It could be sexual harassment.
Unwanted touching.
Unwanted touching.
Words.
Words. What else?
She was uncomfortable, clearly.
She wasn't comfortable. Anybody in the back? I'm little, but I can still see you guys.
Dad, pick up lines.
It's a lot.
Contact of a sexual nature.
Pardon me?
Contact of a sexual nature.
Contact of a sexual nature. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Would just be unwanted attention.
Unwanted attention. Yes. So all of these things can happen anywhere. So that is what sexual harassment. That's what sexual harassment is, and it can happen to anybody. You actually have described everything that is on these 3 bullets. Let me read the first one. Sexual harassment is a form of gender discrimination that involves unwelcome sexual advantages, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of sexual nature between the same or opposite sex. So just remember, this is not just a male and female. It can be a female and female. A female can be sexually harassing another female, or a male can be sexually harassing another male. So just don't just overlook that. Next slide, please. So we also saw this in the video, right? The categories of sexual harassment can be verbal, nonverbal, or physical contact. So we clearly saw that in the video when the guy was touching the female. It was clear that she didn't want that. Remember when she was in the bar, what he did, right? He pulled on the arm. So that's another physical contact. And there was a lot of verbal behaviors. Any other examples that you can give me of that could be sexual harassment? I can give you a ton of them, but.
Email.
What is it?
Email.
An email? Yes. Yes, these days with the internet and the Facebook, for us it's Facebook, for the younger people, I think it's, what is it?
Not that young.
Instagram or what is
I don't
it?
use them.
Snapchat. Yeah, I don't know how to use that thing yet.
TikTok.
But yes, and I know that some of the sites, on some of the sites, you can put stuff and then they disappear. But yeah, they just put it in, and then the next, I guess when they, I don't know how it is. But anyway, on Facebook, you know, you can be harassing somebody. Somebody can be taking that as harassment. I've seen cases where people have sent unwanted messages, and the other individual. I worked as a victim advocate for a while, so I have some experience on this, where the individual had received messages, unwanted messages and unwanted attention, and actually that can be taken to court for order of protection and things like that. So yeah, that can be taken as sexual harassment. So please be careful with what messages you're sending. If somebody don't want you to be sending no messages, or it's not giving you their phone number, don't be on Facebook tracking their history to figure out how can you send a message. They don't want you, so don't send anything. Yes, ma'am.
Telling dirty jokes.
Yes. 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 Telling dirty jokes. And just because I'm okay with Miss, what's your name? Miss Megan, I'm in the hallway telling a dirty joke with her, you know, because we get along, we're pretty cool or whatever. Miss Linda passes by, or Mr. Smith passes by and hear us, he can get offended. And he can feel that he's being sexually harassed, or she can feel that she's being sexually harassed. Our intention was not that, but you know, those jokes and those kind of vocabulary and things that we use, it has its place, and the place is not our work environment. So if you get along with somebody and you're cool with somebody, take it somewhere else, not in the workplace, because somebody else can be offended and somebody else can, you know, take it as a harassment. What else? Unwanted gifts. So don't be bringing chocolate to nobody and talking about Happy Valentine's Day. They're not asking you for any candy. And if you bring it to one, you need to bring it to the whole office. Because if you're bringing me candy all the time, talking about Happy Valentine's, I'll be like, I don't need no chocolate. So, you know, take that. And if you continue to bring it, that can be sexual harassment, yes. I mean, sometimes I feel like we go a little bit overboard. I was in a class the other day and somebody said, yeah, when they compliment you about your age, that can be sexual harassment. I said, how? I mean, I like it when people compliment them about my age. They say, oh, you look like you're 20. And I'm like, oh, yeah. That's what I said. So I said, how can that be sexual harassment? And so they explained it a little more to me, and they said, yeah, depending on how they say in it. So if they saying it, ooh, you look like you're 20, you know, that can be sexual harassment. But if somebody says, oh, you look a lot younger than what I thought, you know, you could be like 26, and you're like, okay, thank you, you know, that's different. But if somebody's checking you out and doing all the little things, then that can be constructed as sexual harassment. So just, you know, be careful about your comments. Keep your dirty jokes for home or for your friends somewhere else. Don't bring it to work. That's all I got for that. This is the types of harassment, the quid pro and the hostile work environment. The quid pro is this for that. You know, if you do this, I can, you know, send you to the training in Hawaii. You're like, yeah, I want to go to the training in Hawaii. What do I need to do? Free trip. So yeah, that can be sexual harassment. Anybody else an example of the quid pro? I like Hawaii, so that's what I said. Promotion, yes. If you do, if you go out with me, maybe we can I can see about getting you the next GS level, the next step. I can make sure that your name is up for the next step. Yeah, promotion. And the hostile work environment, we already kind of discussed that, the hostile work environment, you know, when you're making jokes and you, when you're just having those jokes and stuff, people just feel uncomfortable. And I have experienced that in the past, where somebody else was making jokes and another coworker was really uncomfortable. She made a report, and what happens when somebody makes a report and shuts that person down sometimes? Retaliation, yes, retaliation. And sometimes retaliation is not as, it's not as evident, right? So with this individual, what they were doing is this female that said something about it. So what they were doing is like, oh, careful, don't say nothing in front of her because she's gonna tell on you know? So how did that make her feel? Yeah, uncomfortable. And what message does it tell somebody else?
Don't be a snitch.
Don't be a snitch. Don't say anything because they're gonna tell you. So what they did is that they put her to the side, you know, or don't, you know, hey, watch out what you're saying in front of her because she's gonna tell on you. So we don't want that. We don't like that here. So they kind of isolated her. Eventually, you know, it just goes away, but that resonates with the people in the group or in the organization because they remember. So if something else happens, if they see something, they're less likely to report because they don't want, you know, that particular female might have been comfortable with that, you know, she might have like, she don't care, but somebody else may not. Somebody else may feel very uncomfortable and not say anything because they're afraid. They're afraid that they will do the same thing to her. They're afraid that she's gonna get fired. They're afraid that she's not gonna have a job tomorrow. Yeah, so those are some of the things. Yes, sir.
It shifts the responsibility for the action onto the person who reported it, as opposed to owning it and saying, hey, we shouldn't do this in the workplace because it's not okay, it's not professional, it's wrong. As opposed to, hey, we shouldn't do this in the workplace because you're gonna get in trouble or this person's gonna hear you.
Yes,
The
yes.
problem is with the behavior, not the person who reports it.
That's right. That's right. So, yeah, so we have to be careful with those things. We have to be careful of how we react to the individual that is reporting. What are our own behaviors? We have to be, a lot of you guys are probably supervisors or managers of a section. You know, you also you want to be aware of your own biases too. You know, a lot of times the way we've been raised, the way that we grew up, where we come from, when we get a report, we may react a certain way that may not be appropriate. It may be discouraging for the individual who made a report to even say anything else, and depending on how you respond to it, then you will see whether anyone else will want to make any reports. So yes, you have to be careful with that. There are some techniques of dealing with sexual harassment, and I think we've seen it in the video. You can do it directly, you can do it indirectly. I mean, some ways that you can do it indirectly, what would you do? I gave you an example of this female.
Excuse the interruption. This is the AT&T specialist. I'm sorry to interrupt your call. I have a gentleman named Keith Beecher that apparently has a different security number, and I need to see if I can share that new one with him.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I will go ahead and do that now.
Thank you.
And now we all know. Yeah.
So let's go back to the training. So there's ways to deal with sexual harassment. We just in sexual harassment now. We haven't got to assault yet. So how can this is the important phase, because when we see it, we need to act on it. So we saw in the video how they did it directly, right? How they went on and intervened and said, hey, you know, I need you to help me with this. That was one way. Can you guys, I already told you guys look older, and I'm sure you have a lot of experiences. maybe not personally, but you have seen some things around. This has not been your only job. So come on, somebody tell me something. What are other ways to intervene? Yes, sir.
You say, watch your mouth. Knock it off.
Very direct. Very direct. Yes. Yes, very direct. Yes. What else? Pardon me?
Work through a common acquaintance, someone that you both know. Say something to someone they know that you know, and let them say something so you keep your friend personal.
That's right. That's another way. So yeah, we got two great examples. We sent some examples in the video.
Hey, this
You
is
look like you
Barbara.
want to say something,
Yeah.
sir.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, they're coming out of your head. I see it. So yes, so those are ways that we can intervene. The other way that I can think of is like the experience that I have that's, you know, the individual did not go directly to the person. They went to the supervisor, and the supervisor corrected that behavior right away. So that is another way that you can do it. So there are many, many ways that you can do it. It doesn't matter how you do it. What you want to do is intervene. Because today, it may not be you. It may be someone close to you, but tomorrow it may be you or someone that you really care about. So that's what I'm saying, that this is not my problem or your boss's problem or the system problem. It's all of us problem, and we really need to work on it and make sure that we're doing something about it. Okay, next. Some of the effects of harassment, and this also correlates with assault. So a lot of times we say, well, you know, it was just one incident. But the effects of this one incident that happened to me, for example, the things that it's gonna do to me, do you think it's gonna affect your team?
Yeah.
Yes. Because now I'm all paranoid, I'm embarrassed, I'm uncomfortable coming to work, I'm avoiding people because I feel like everybody's watching me, because this guy is harassing me, and I don't know how to stop it. It's affecting my work performance because now my head is not 100% in my work. My head is, how can I avoid these people? What are they thinking about me? I'm embarrassed, I'm anxious,
they told me the caterer was on.
I'm even depressed. Now I'm taking time off for work. So what does it say for the team? Now you lost one person in the team, so what does the work fall? My work will fall to the rest of the team probably, because we still need to complete the job, right? So when I say that this is not one individual's problem, that's what I mean. It affects everyone around us. And it's all of us responsibility to do something about it. Harassment has a psychological effects, physiological reactions, and it affects people's careers. Definitely. Okay, next. So formal reports of sexual harassment it needs to go to the EO office within 45 calendar days. I hope it doesn't take 45 calendar days, but that's what you gotta do it within that time. And the EO office, Miss Jackie is your EO person. In the National Guard, I always say, our EO person also takes those reports. But whenever in doubt, whether it's assault or it's harassment, I always tell them to give me a call. There is a self-hotline, there's a emergency number that we monitor 24/7. Is that the right thing? Yeah, 24/7. Yes.
There you go.
Yes. So I got it right. So yes, whenever in doubt, call somebody. If you are not comfortable going to that person in your within your organization, which I hope is not the case, there's always outside resources. And if you don't know of them, call somebody. There's so much out there. I mean, you can go Google and put sexual harassment, and it will give you a ton of resources. But if you don't know, I'm giving you the little card, and I pass it around. Hopefully, everybody has one. There's a self-help line that you can always call. I will pass around some other resources. There's local organizations also that you can call. They can help you out to validate what you experiences, find ways to deal with it, and hopefully, you know, that will help. But there's always me too. You can always call me. Like I said, I will never, in my 15 years of career, I have not always done sexual assault, but I have always worked with people. And I don't remember, you know, hanging the phone telling a person that this is not for me, go, you know, here's the number somewhere else. I've always make sure that I give you the correct information. Before I give you a number, I'm gonna call it myself, and I'm gonna make sure that that's the correct information before you get it. Next, please. So this is the potential consequences for sexual harassment. Depending on the nature of the offense, this is what can happen. And your EEO person can probably, once you get to talk to her, she can probably give you more detail or give you all this information too. So it's not some, I would not expecting you to memorize this. I think what's most important for this class is that you are aware of what harassment and what assault is, and who you need to contact if you ever feel that you are, you know, experiencing that situation, or that someone close to you or someone in your group is experiencing that. Okay, next. So defining sexual assault. So this is the definition of sexual assault, but what do you guys think is sexual assault?
Physical contact.
Physical contact, yes. What do you say, ma'am? I'm sorry.
Lack of consent.
Lack of consent, yes.
Sexual nature.
The office seemed referred to it as sexual harassment. Had physical contact. Is that sexual assault?
Yeah, if you come and grab me on the butt, or grab my breast, yeah, that'll be sexual assault. That's a sexual contact. So, did I answer your question?
Well, I mean, he was just, you know, rubbing his hand up and down her side. And that's pretty close to me.
It could be sexual assault, yes. So whenever in doubt, I usually go back to because I deal with soldiers, I go back to the regulation, and if any of what they're describing fits that definition of what sexual assault is, then it is sexual assault. If it fits the definition of sexual harassment, then it is sexual harassment and not sexual assault. You know, we don't know it all, and like I said, I use that as a guide for me. I'm sure that there will be other things legally for civilians. There's other descriptions too. But for this purpose, I would use the Army regulation, what the description of sexual assault. So yes, depending on what is the physical context, the force, unwanted, somebody said unwanted something, unwanted, without consent, yes. So I don't know if you guys, somebody pointed out, I like to watch Sex and the City. Well, I like to watch that show a lot. But I never really paid attention to every detail of the show. But I was taking a class not too long ago, and someone described when, I don't know if anybody is familiar with the show, but there's a scene where the main character is in the elevator, and her boyfriend gets in the elevator with her. So, they have broken up, and he pushes her against the elevator wall, and they're inside the elevator, and he forcefully kisses her. And I probably seen the show, many times, and I've probably seen the scene probably plenty times. I was told that is sexual assault, because she did not say no, but she pushed him away, and he didn't. So that is a great example of sexual assault, and sometimes, remember at the beginning I was saying we see television, we hear music, and we see how other people react to these different things. We think that that's sexy. Wow, he pushed me and said, well, he kissed me. Well, that is sexual assault. So that is it's not okay. It's a non-consensual behavior. If someone is pushing you away, that person is saying no. That person doesn't have to say no, or that person doesn't have to fight you. Just pushing you away means no, and you should step back. The second, can you go back to it, please? Sexual assault includes rape, non-consensual sodomy, incest, attempts to commit double acts. Some of the reports that I have had in reference to assault have been people like when this crime is committed, when people experience this, a lot of times it's very confusing. Why do you think it will be confusing? Why you think someone will not be sure whether this is assault or not?
They feel guilty.
The guilt?
Send out the wrong signal when someone acted.
The guilt, yes.
Kind of goes fast sometimes, just it's a blur.
It goes so fast, yes.
Sometimes to someone in your family you don't want to report it.
That it could be someone in the family close to you. You don't want to report it because family may not be supported. What else?
Could be someone you're in a relationship with.
And I've seen that. Seen that quite a few times. Yes.
They may feel like they have done something to prevent it.
The guilt, part of it is the guilt, yes.
Like your situation before, and not necessarily said no.
Yes. So why do you think somebody will not necessarily say no? Yes, ma'am.
Low self-esteem.
Low self-esteem? Yeah. What else?
Overwhelmed.
Yes. Why would you be overwhelmed? Denial, shock, yes. So remember at the beginning we said that harassment, assault is not committed by a stranger, right? Mm-hmm. It's usually someone who is in your leadership, who is close to you. It could be a friend. It could be, for younger kids, it could be a parent. It's usually someone in authority, someone that you look up to, someone that you trust. So, yes?
Especially if somebody overpowers you in rank.
Someone that overpowers you in rank. Yes, so when someone comes and commits this crime, and it's someone that you have all those feelings about, then you kind of in shock. Somebody says shock, right? You don't know how to react. You don't know if this is right or wrong. Did I provoke this? Did I send the wrong message? So you're confused. So a lot of people don't want to report right away because of that. And they go sometimes years, sometimes months, trying to deal with it by themselves. Sometimes they put it in the back of their head, like it never happened, like this didn't happen to me, they don't recall it, but it takes something stressful to come back again, that stress can bring those memories back. Sometimes it could be the smell of something that was similar during what happened. It could be family problems, anything that brings it back. So what I'm trying to say is a lot of people don't report assault, not because they don't want to, it's because of the shame, it's because of all those feelings that they're having, and they're sometimes confused, like I said. Yes, ma'am.
And also the fear of retaliation.
The fear of retaliation, yes. So if we're working in an environment where this type of behavior, you know, like people just do whatever and say whatever and nobody corrects it, the supervisor is within the group too and just whatever, then, you know, less likely that I will be going to my supervisor to say, you know, this happened to me by Mr. Smith did this to me, because they're, you know, I'm not gonna trust that person. So trust is very important too. Yes, sir.
So that kind of goes, what we're saying kind of goes against the guidance, because if you have to report to the EEO within 45 days, and somebody's dealing with that guilt, shame, etc., and passes that 45-day window, then the aggressor gets to walk away.
So my job is not to take the aggressive to court and put up to trial. My job is to provide you the support that you need. And I don't care if you report it in 45 days, 50 days, 60 days, or 6 months. As long as you come and tell me, I will be connecting you with the resources and the support you need. Because what's most important is that you're okay, that you get the help that you need to overcome this terrible experience that you have gone through, right? Or, you know, sometimes we, as leaders, yes, we want to make sure that this person gets punished and this person gets, you know, whatever they need to get, punished, out of here, kicked out. But that's not, if that's not possible, our job is to make sure that you still get the resources and the help that you need. Sexual assault, it doesn't have a time limit. You can report it at any time. And we will provide you the resources and the support that you need. So there's people in the, there's people here possibly that when they were younger, as children, might have experienced sexual assault. That does not mean that I cannot help you with that. We still will provide the resources and the support that you need, because we understand that the effects of sexual assault, the psychological trauma that you have lived can cause, you know, other traumas or other experiences later on in life, and we want to make sure that you're connected with the services.
I just want to add that 45 days falls under the sexual harassment, not under the sexual assault portion. They are two separate avenues. So my office doesn't get personally involved in the sexual assault. We have the SARC at Division that does that. I've been working alongside them though, but it's different if it isn't being complained of sexual harassment. So it's two different avenues.
Any other questions? Yes.
Question, even though, let's say you go over the 45 calendar day guideline, even reporting it, wouldn't it make the supervisors aware that, okay, because this is a predator, he or she's doing it to somebody else, keep an eye out on it.
So we will never, we respect the victim's wishes. So when you come with a report to me, and I think that any other rape crisis agency works like that too, we're not going to do anything you don't want us to do. If you want to report this to law enforcement, we'll make sure that you have those resources and know who to report it to and where will you report it to. We will not tell you, oh, you need to do this and let's go do this. Because again, that will be violating, we will be violating you again. Because now we're sexually assaulted first and that went against your will, now we're still doing it by forcing you to do something that you're not ready to. Maybe you just came because you just wanted to get it off your head, or you're unsure of that, if that was really sexual assault. And you're trying to figure out, is this sexual assault? This is my experience. You know, I heard cases where they said, you know, he was my boyfriend. I didn't feel that this was right, but I wasn't sure because he's my boyfriend, or he's my spouse, or he's my significant other. So that is very, it's very hard for the victim. Okay?
Now, let's not forget that the SARC is there, and, you know, whether it's an NAD and the resources are there. But also, I mean, if it's sexual assault, I mean, it says clearly up there that it's a crime. You should be contacting your local police department, if that's the direction that you so choose. We can't tell you to do that. But you should be contacting your local police department and getting the resources, and they know where to point you to as far as, you know, whether it's going to a hospital or, you know, getting you the help that you need. So because it is a crime, reach out to the local police station is probably your first thing that you're going to want to do in most cases, especially in the civilian environment. I think it might be a little bit different in the military environment, but we as civilians, and we're scattered all over the place, I think that's going to be our first inclination, is to reach out to the local law enforcement.
So, whatever you decide to do, whether it's the police, whether it's whatever you decide to go, just remember that there are local rape crisis centers. They're not just me. I'm not the only one in Hamptons Base. There's another Air Force SARC that can also provide information and guidance. If you just go on the, like I said, go to the internet. These days, all of us know how to use a computer. You'll be able to find some resources and some connections on who to connect to. It don't matter if you live close to Boston, on the other side of the state, wherever you live, there's a rape crisis center, and they can connect you to someone that can provide not only emotional support, but they can provide you legal guidance. They can, you know, provide you with all the steps and education you may need to figure out what is it that you want to do next. Not everyone who experienced sexual assault is prepared to go to the police department and make a report. So just understand that we, the people who work in the arena, understand that. We know that. So don't feel shame or don't feel uncomfortable that if you ever experienced this, it took you 3 or 4 years to report it. We understand why, and we understand that each case is very different. Okay? Next slide, please. So this is just defining sexual assault through the Massachusetts law. You can find this online too. Just Massachusetts law on rape crimes, not only for adults, but for children. Next, please. Got consent, we talked about got consent, what consent means, right? So if the person pushes you away, then that's not consent. If the person is your boyfriend or your girlfriend, just because they were your boyfriend or your girlfriend doesn't mean you have consent. If they're your spouse, yeah. If the spouse doesn't want to have sex with you or doesn't want anything with you, respect that. That doesn't mean just you don't have. It's no. No means no. It doesn't matter who you're with. If you go back to the slide, I want to point something out. If we are at a bar and we had drinks, you know, this is something that I was saying in the past. I don't want it to make a scene. If we are out drinking and we know that this might go a little farther, we need to start talking about how far do we want it to go. You know, you don't eat the burger and then say, I want lettuce and tomatoes and pickles on it. Before you order the damn burger, you say, you know, this is what I want. So before you go out drinking, if you think that, you know, that's where you want to leave, because we know, I mean, I'm an adult. All of you guys are adults here. And when we all go on a date, we know we're already thinking of what we want, right? How far we want to go. So let's be open and talk about that. You know, today I don't want the burger. I just want to have some drinks. So, but if you want the burger today, let's talk about what we want in that burger and how far we're willing to go. So consent, we already talked about consent. Let's go again. This is another video. I don't think we need to see the video. Let's see how many. So the only option that you guys have as a civilian is the unrestricted report. We have resources, like I said before, on the SARC, you have the veteran services, and all these things will be, you don't need to memorize it. You just need to know that there is a SARC close to you, 8 minutes away. It's not just me. There's a self-help line. If you don't remember nothing, you have, because our memory sometimes is a little short. With age, you know, my memory is not good. I have to write everything down, or I have to look at my little notes. So, if you don't remember anything, there's a self-help line that you can call, and they can connect you with us or with any other resource that you may need. An independent investigation doesn't mean that you as a manager will try to investigate the case. No, you're not an investigator. So when a case comes to you, you make sure that you, if your employee is coming to you reporting something, you make sure you take the appropriate actions. So we already know what are the appropriate actions, right? Okay. So supervisors cannot conduct internal investigation. The SAR program assigns victim advocates. This is more for victim advocates in the military. I don't think it applies to you guys. Does it, Miss Jackie? You guys don't have victim advocates, unfortunately.
We will.
You guys will. I think it's really important, but what's most important is that you know what resources and services are around here for you. Sex rules, we connect this with the Army values. Sexual assault is a crime, so it's against all of this Army values. No means always no. Without consent is sexual assault. We already defined that, and one, if physical contact is wrong. Sexual offensive remarks or sexual harassment is also wrong. It goes against all the Army values. And all of this right here, it gets affected by our perceptions. You know, like I said in the beginning, where we come from, our own experiences about what we have experienced. Like I said to you, I'm from a different country. I have experience in seeing different things than you have. So some of those experiences are engraved in my head, and you know, when you're seeing some things, you tend to like sometimes overlook it. My own personal biases sometimes makes me react to things differently, and I have to constantly be aware of those biases. I'm a human being too, so I want to make sure that when I'm talking to you, I'm responding the appropriate way. And for supervisors, that is a must. Be aware of your biases, because how we respond to other people, it will take a great impact for the next person also. Okay, next. Again, this is some of the sex rules against Army values. Next, please. Retaliation or reprisal, it's a crime. And I think I described what was ostracism in the beginning. You know, how this individual, when they reported, they made a report, how they were saying, oh, you know, be careful with her. You know, don't say nothing in front of her. So that's a form of reprisal. Acts of cruelty, oppression, maltreatment. That's when, you know, they come in and slash your car, they put in leaving marks. We see a little bit less than that, but that could be possible too. You know, some people are bold and they will come and, you know, make threats and stuff like that. So you have to be conscious of that too. Next, please. So this is some of the resources that we have, and I mentioned the safehelpline.org. You'll find this online, the Military One Source, and us. The VA, for a lot of you guys who are veterans, the VA has a when you call, you wanna make sure you let them know that you wanna make you're looking for help for sexual assault, whatever. You mention sexual assault and they'll connect you with the right person. If you don't, they may say you need this and that, and they just keep you around. Unfortunately, that's that may happen. But just call the SARC. Next, please. I'm sorry I went kind of fast at the end. They were rushing me. I will blame the other people. I can talk some more, but I don't want to bore you guys. I hope that we describe what sexual harassment is. We describe what sexual assault is. But what's most important, I think, is that if you ever in doubt, contact someone. Contact the SARC, contact the Red Crisis Center, contact the helpline, contact somebody. If you're not comfortable talking to Ms. Jackie or other resources that you have here in the agency, you have outside resources that you can connect to, okay? Thank you very much for your time, for participating.